Good morning, and welcome to Intex News Radio, reality radio, everybody can be a star. My name is Franklin Harris, and I am the host of Intex News program Straight Up the Middle. Listen, so I've been told to give a verbal disclaimer before we proceed with the show. And so let me just say it like this, the best way that I can, that the views and comments expressed by the host are not necessarily the opinions of this broadcast medium. My comments are personal to me, and so they are not those of the studio or Intex News, the company. So, okay, close enough to what the disclaimer would say. And good morning to you all. Welcome to this, I think this is the third Saturday of 2024. I am excited to be here with you and take you on this journey. I want to thank Edna Rain and gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. He sat in last week for me on the show, and he was probably polite enough not to even mention that he now has his own show on a different station. So we wish him well in that endeavor. But the Honorable former State Representative Edna Rain Kendra came in and sat in on the show. Well, that's her name. She came in and sat in. So want to thank Ed for doing that while I was out of town. We lost one of our gentlemen that went to the University of South Florida, a gentleman by the name of Albert Gibbs, just a phenomenal person, and we lost him. So I went down for his memorial down in Fort Lauderdale. I want to thank the Fort Lauderdale Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi for a wonderful send-off for our brother Albert Gibbs. He will be sorely missed. He did such a wonderful job with our youth and mentorship and leadership and just giving back in such a way. And if I could challenge everybody, really, I want everybody really this morning, take a minute and just think. Think about what it is you're doing with your life, your talent, your resources, your ability. Just think for a minute. And think how all those talents and abilities and resources were developed. All that went into pouring into you to give you what it is that you have at your disposal at this point in time. Now ask yourself this question. Are you giving back to our society equivalent to what you received? I know we have this misconception that, we pull ourselves up by bootstraps, but let me tell you something. Somebody had to make the bootstraps. Somebody had to make the boots. Somebody had to even create the situation in which you have the opportunity to prosper. So be thoughtful and considerate whatever you're doing and give back. Make that the legacy that you leave behind. And our brother Albert Gibbs, great member of the Zeta Chi chapter, Kappa Alpha Psi, University of South Florida, the Fort Lauderdale Alumni chapter. And he did that, exceptionally well. And if we all could just do a little bit more for somebody else. Some of us and some of you are going well and above and beyond. But a lot of folks sitting on their couches, waiting on somebody to rescue them from their life. And let me just say this about your life. It's yours. Nobody coming to rescue you. So if you don't like it, you better get up and do something about it. You don't like your community, you get up and do something about it. You don't like the way that, whatever it is going in your life, you need to get up off your butt and go do something about it. And at least enjoy the process and effort of making a change. Let's make 2024 a dynamic and special year, a year in which, we make it different than 2023 by putting in the effort and the time. And I will tell you this, it's off to a bang. It is, for me, it's just been full speed, nonstop. In fact, I barely have my voice back today from all the stuff that I got into last week, and it might not hold up for the show. But Tampa's on fire last weekend with the Black Heritage Festival going on, and of course the Martin Luther King Day breakfast on Monday morning, then the parade, and this is just what happened here in Tampa. You're just watching around the country as the country came to life as it kicked off 2024. Just an exciting time. Also want to take a minute and shout out my Buccaneers. We're on the march, and let me just say this also real quick about 2024. This is really a great year of opportunity. 2024 is going to be filled with so many new and exciting things and changes and opportunities. I just want to make sure in your life, wherever you are, you actually take advantage of that. One of the big things, of course, as we focus on this show about politics, going to be a big change. A lot of changes going on. We talk about the election, the presidential election, but you have down ballot elections. And there's a promo that I did out somewhere that somebody right now is probably thinking, well, why are you talking about politics? Go look at that promo. It's on Instagram somewhere, Facebook, Google Clint Paris attorney, In Touch News, and that talks about everything comes back to politics because we have a democratic system of government, and that system works better when more people are involved. The hope for those people in power is that you won't get involved, that you won't get up off your couch and you'll say that nothing matters or changes. So you're not going to go out and get involved in any of the electoral processes. But 2024 is going to be a big year of change. You either Biden gets reelected as president, and there's nothing more powerful than a president in his last term because he has nothing to lose. Also, there'll be elections to decide who's going to control Congress. Every 2 years, there's an election. And then on the Republican side, they're battling it out. And you just have all kind of things with all the prosecutions ongoing against Donald Trump that are full speed ahead, as well as the election action with who's in the race still. I think there's Trump, you've got Nikki Haley, and there's another guy in there, but his numbers are so low. DJ Bells will help me out. There's a third guy in the I'm joking, y'all. It's Ron DeSantis, but his number's so low. It's like he's like Tim Scott. He's not even in the race. Oh, speaking of Tim Scott came out with a big announcement. Nikki Haley put Tim Scott on the map. They're both South Carolinians, and Tim Scott endorsed Donald Trump. Tell me to fix isn't in. He's already promised Tim Scott he'll give him a nice plum position in his administration if Trump wins. And so Tim Scott came out and endorsed Donald Trump, hilarious, as they move through New Hampshire where Nikki Haley is trending. And I wonder what Tim Scott's going to be if Nikki Haley is able to pull herself together. But you got that going on. You got this thing with Fani Willis, and Lord, I know her life is her life and all that kind of stuff. But come on, when you're in the public eye, you have to manage things in anticipation of what could be made into an issue. And she's allowed her social life to become an issue. And hopefully that can get itself resolved. And then we have this other lingering thing, I think, that is just a cloud over America with mental health. And that was the suicide of Antoinette Bonnie Candida Bailey over at Lincoln University. Most of us know someone who's struggling with some mental health issues, and she left writings making it clear she felt that she was being bullied by the president of the university, that her concerns weren't being taken serious, and I guess that's was too much for her to bear, and so we lost her. So, but anyway, I'm in studio by myself today. The professor's going to call in. I want you to call in too. The call-in number here, 813-444-9588. Write that number down. Put it aside. When something hits you and the thought tickles your fancy, get on the phone. You don't have to tell me really who you are. You can be somebody else. But the issue is we want your thoughts, concerns. We want to hear from you if you're listening in today. So a great day to call in. Talk about the issues that are pressing us right now, because 2024 is going to go very fast. It's going to be a blazing year because of the presidential elections. That's one. Because of the down ballot elections, that's going to be other factors that and affect American society. And so we'll see. So let's take this call real quick. See where we're at. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning. This is Professor. How are you?
Good morning, Professor. You sound kind of down. Hey, Professor, it's the new year. Come on, cheer up, man. Listen,
I'm just drinking my first cup of coffee.
Okay.
I don't know my first cup.
Gotcha. I hear you, man. Well, thank you for calling in. Appreciate it very much. A lot of action over on the Republican side of the aisle with caucuses kicking off in Iowa. Now we're in New Hampshire, and getting ready to move on south. So what's on your mind this morning, Professor?
Well, I just think it's timely. I'm feeling pretty good about those sorry Republicans, and here is why. I actually think they had a plan. I'm talking congressional Republicans, because they didn't rush to indict Hunter. I mean, they kept the pressure up. They kept leaking out stuff. These emails. Oh, Hunter had this. Hunter had that. Big guy this. Big guy that. But they didn't rush to do it. So Joe Biden still has to deal with that. Now they're putting pressure on the quote-unquote sugar brother, a term that should never be in existence, but it's there.
Wait, hold on, Professor. What is a sugar, I know what a sugar mama is. I think I know what a sugar daddy is. For the peoples out there, what's a sugar brother?
I'm almost wanting to say that's a term out of the penal system. I mean, that's the only thing I can come. Guys just don't give guys money in millions of dollars at that. But I'm going to leave that alone. I just leak that out like the rest of them do. That's out of the penal system. Okay, so now we have what's going on with the Orange Man. And so, I mean, certainly I was happy to see him win in Iowa. A commanding win at that. It
is surprised to you about what and how that went down in Iowa? With pretty much how you thought it would go.
Well, no, it went how I thought it would go, and I also think Trump will win New Hampshire. And that may be a bit naive, given what we also know is going on the back end, in the background, as far as people being able to unenroll and register to vote. But no, I was not surprised. I was happily surprised by his total win, 51% of the vote. I think they say that's the most, I don't know of all time, but certainly in recent history.
For a non-incumbent.
Right. Well, we know that he's running as a quasi-incumbent, so I like how they're framed Trump, because I mean he cannot be contained. So getting back to what I think the Republicans, and maybe they just lucked up and is rolling their way, because have you noticed how some of those establishment Republicans and senators are now endorsing Trump, because they sat on the sidelines kind of hoping, fingers crossed behind their back, hopefully they get this guy out of here, because we really don't want him back in the office. So they didn't do a whole lot to help him. They were smart enough not to get out and challenge him, because they know how petty Trump can be. As soon as he finds one that's trying to challenge him, he's going to go right at him. So there were so many establishment Republicans who just did nothing. But now that Trump is showing that he is still the force, he is the one to be reckoned with. It's his to lose. So now that they're rallying behind him, and I still think the congressional, your Jim Jordans and with Comer, I still think they're going to play their hand to, drag Joe Biden into some impeachment-like conversations. And they're doing that with Mayorkas. So I think they're doing enough that Joe Biden's going to have to come clean, because if Trump is the nominee, guess what else comes back out? The laptop. Why they lied about the laptop. So there is another hand to be played.
Okay. Well, let's hold that thought there, Professor. We're going to take a quick break, come back. Listen, so I want you to flesh out these mainstream Republicans now who are deciding their best bet is to jump on the Trump bandwagon, which, of course, he hates people that are not loyal to him. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, let you expand on that. This is In Touch News Radio, reality radio, everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this quick break.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
All right, we're back live on Interstate Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. You're listening to Straight Up the Middle. I got my main man, the professor, on the telephone, and he was celebrating the return of mainstream Republicans to Donald Trump. I call them bandwagoneers, but, I give Republicans the right to celebrate whatever they can. But you're kind of building on, there's a momentum kind of in the Republican Party that you think may make some Republicans feel like, okay, it's time to rally the troops?
Well, I think that it was a foregone conclusion. We've talked about this before. Trump had a stronghold on the base. So whether or not he was going to weather these criminal investigations, whether or not he was going to come out on top, that was a separate conversation because you still had to treat him nicely for him to come out and endorse whoever would take the reins from him. If Trump ever conceded, it's a two-part conversation. Okay, I'm not going to be the nominee, but that doesn't mean I'm going to endorse you. And without Trump's endorsement, he may not command that whole 35%, when he's totally out the picture, but he'll command a good 15 to 20. So you still have to be nice to him. So I just think those establishment Republicans, and rightfully so, because I never said Donald Trump was the best. No one's going to, endorse him for his good demeanor and his home values. I mean, that we're not doing that. But at the same time, Trump is someone that you need. You need him whether or not he's going to be the nominee or not. You need Trump because you need his vote. And I think the establishment realized, all right, well, the Dems had 3 years at this guy, and this guy is stronger. Let's stress the ER. So we need to get behind him because he's whooping the competition like he did in 2016 or 2015. Right. He whipped 17 of them then. He's whipping 8 of them now. He whipped them so bad you don't even hear about Asa Hutchinson and all these other. You don't even know this guy's in the race. I mean, he's whooping them worse, and he has notables. He doesn't have like the old Jeb Bush, He has DeSantis, who is a good governor, a great governor, some would say. He has Nikki Haley, who's done well for her state. He's whipping them hands down. So you have to rally behind him.
Well, it's interesting that you put it in that. I would say that really if I'm a Republican who's looking to be in power, not a Republican looking to achieve certain things philosophically based off traditional Republican ideals and a Republican agenda. But look, I just want to we need to be in charge. You're right. You gotta jump on the Trump bandwagon as it is now constructed, with the idea that we just have to weather him and maybe reconstruct the party when he's gone. But if you're an idealist about, hey, I want strong Republican principles pushed to the forefront, and not these veilly covered, I think, unpleasant characteristics that he's bringing out of people. That's something else. I don't think much of Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis. I think Ron DeSantis has rebranded Florida as something that it really is not. And I think this next election is really going to show. We've had a couple of weak Democratic gubernatorial candidates or flawed candidates. I think the last candidate was weak, and the one before that we found out had some serious character flaws. But I think the Republican Party in Florida is not nearly as strong as some folks would like it to believe that it is. So that's something to keep in mind. But I'm watching the process, and let's talk about this real quick because you mentioned mainstream, and my first thought was mainstream. Oh, Tim Scott. Well, I don't know if I call Tim Scott mainstream. I'm not sure what Tim Scott is after what has just happened. Tim Scott has endorsed Donald Trump. Why do you think that endorsement came out now? What's really going on with Tim Scott?
Well, I think Tim Scott knew he wasn't going to win, and I think it was not even a power play. It was an obvious play of his hand to be included in the cabinet somewhere. I mean, Tim Scott has aspirations for a future. I don't know if he thinks he has a shot at the presidency after Trump, but it was an obvious and a common sense play. I do it, and the timing is great. I would have done it before now, but I can see there probably was some back channel conversation to keep the conversation, to keep the headlines going, because Trump's going to need that. It's not just going to be a cakewalk, because look, that's where Biden got his footing, because he was whooped, back in 2015, 2016. I'm sorry, in 2020, he was whooped the same way. He didn't do well in Iowa. I don't think he did well in New Hampshire. Yeah, no, he didn't do well in New Hampshire either. So Trump and his team is doing a good job, a good strategy, I should say, to have that endorsement now. Again, to bump up the headlines, to keep the attention going there. And obviously, man, this senator didn't even endorse his own governor. That's
right. Well, the governor that appointed him, not just his governor, but the governor that appointed him. And I'm just trying to strategically I'm Tim Scott. I'm trying to get in the cabinet, but there's no of course, Trump is going to need some diversity. Who else could he go to? So Tim Scott could have put that on the shelf until after South Carolina, when Nikki Haley probably drops out, and maintain his credibility in the state. Even those people, I think, in the state of Carolina who, may not have been Tim Scott fans or Nikki Haley fans, going, gee, that guy just kind of turned his back on Nikki Haley for Trump. When Trump's already going to win, I think Carolina as well. I thought that, to me, was a bad play.
I see it a little differently. Why? Trump's already strong in South Carolina. It's a red state. So if he didn't come out and do it ahead of time, why would I need you? I'm going to win.
He doesn't need him. Look, so who is sitting around going, oh, Tim Scott said Trump's the guy. Let's do it. Listen, I believe this is what I believe. I think there's a very small group of people who are in the middle of the undecided ranks, right? And when we get down to the general, that's where I think the battleground, they go. So let me ask you something. I hate feeling like I'm always just grinding on Republicans, not because it's easy or necessary, but I always feel that way. But I'll do it though. But my thought for you though, I want to talk about Democrats a little bit Democrat, and what they did. And Biden moved the Democratic primary, the initial caucus, out of Iowa, so there was no Democratic caucus. Then he moved out of New Hampshire. And so the first time you're going to have voting happen is when we get to the South. Do you think that's going to come back to be a problem for the Democrats? Do you think that the Republicans are going to hold that against them? I mean, the Democrats in that election, when we get to the general, that, hey, you guys skipped us to kick off the election season?
No, because guess what? They're going to break out the hot sauce and go to all the black churches like Hillary did. He's already bought the vote. He's look, I'm going to cancel about 50 billion more student loans. He's feeding it so well. This is what he does. I don't know if he'll make well on that. The other one fell through, but no. And it's the same way again that Biden came into any type of leading position the last time was in South Carolina. So, if you remember, we felt there was something, we as in Republicans felt there was something not right in that water when he all of a sudden bounced back. We knew that the Democrats are trying to prop him up then in a different way. They have to prop him up now, but they had to prop him up. They needed someone that they felt had a better chance, because Hillary obviously wasn't going to be that one. So, no, I don't think they're going to suffer anything, because to me, it's what they did in 2020.
I mean, this whole thing, one of the things, let me go back to something you brought up also about Hunter. I mean, from the Democratic side, it's almost been a godsend. And I'm going to tell you why. The Republicans in Congress have been so consumed with trying to get to Hunter, right? They know that there's got to be something here. And, my theory has always been, if after months and years of digging into something, you only have some very scant documents that, if you look at them upside down through a blue light, out of one eye, you get a glimpse of something that may not be right, then pretty much you don't have much. And so I think pretty much with Hunter, we've got pretty much what, will it come out that, maybe, he did more drugs than he told us, and there's more genital pictures than we want to believe they are, all that kind of stuff. I just don't see how that's going to really affect the election. I really don't. Well, I think if you were to say to Americans, if you were to say to Democrats right now, Hunter Biden got money that also benefited Joe Biden, most Democrats would say, that's kind of how politics work. So I don't think if they can prove what they think they're going to prove, here's what they need to do that for, though. They need to make something happen with Hunter Biden for the Republicans. That's my thought process. And guess what? They've already got those votes. So ultimately, they're leaving the Democrats to be able to say, look, if you want more do nothing Republican, hey, reelect these guys. Because all they're going to do is run around chasing investigations or threatening to impeach people. And you may recall, Professor, I've never been a fan of impeachment. I never thought it's the way you deal with someone in office. The way you deal with them is you get them, you elect somebody else. But impeachment rarely gets you it makes the people doing it, feel good. It's like I say about my mom when she was going to spank me. I said, look, all that's going to do is make you feel good and make me feel bad. But I'm still going to be the same person when all this is over. But you don't think that Republicans are going to be forced to say, hey, what'd you do besides get beat again by Joe Biden in negotiations over keeping the government open? I just think they got to come up. They got to produce something, don't they, from a legislative standpoint?
Yeah, I think the Republicans, for the most part, I would agree. But I will remind you, and I know Democrats like to paint the picture differently and act as though they didn't do the same thing.
Whoa!
When we there you go with the what about this, what about that? But I remember 3 years of Russia. I remember 3 years of collusion. I remember 3 years of Adam Schiff saying, "Oh, I have it. I know exactly. I know what he did." And you guys were okay with it, so I don't see why it bothers you now that they're spending 3 years on Hunter Biden. And here's the other difference. We know that it was a lie, so you guys never proved it. It was a lie when the Democrats were with this Russia. That was the lie.
Well, but here's the dynamic is we also worked on legislation at the same time. Here they are about to get beat by Joe Biden again in the negotiations to extend the government, pissing off their conservative base, and still with nothing legislative. I mean, I'm talking zero legislation that they've come up with. I think they're asking for trouble.
But we also know they only have one of the chambers. I mean, they only have the House. So it's not like they have the House and the Senate and they're sitting on their hands. So if you have the Senate and the presidency, it's going to be kind of hard to get it out there. So it's not like they had everything and not doing anything, but it's still the same thing that the Democrats did. And like you said, you think that the voters are going to say, man, you guys lost to Joe Biden again, or are they going to say Trump was right? Trump is right. These guys don't want to do anything. They have to lead on Trump in that scenario.
All right,
because the only reason what Trump didn't get accomplished legislatively, what he said he's going to do, is because of the Democrats' pushback, the Nancy Pelosi and the Chuck Schumer. This is because of their prowess as politicians, why Trump didn't get what he wanted, especially on the border. So, again, the track record lies with Trump. It was a better economy. I don't care what anyone says. There were no wars, and you can't even argue that. There was no collusion. We found that out, but there was a laptop. See, that's the difference in this election cycle and the last. There was a laptop, and y'all did lie about it. So, yeah.
So listen, I got to take this break. I need you to hang around, Professor, because I still need to ask you about what's going on with Fannie. Can you give me 5 minutes on the other side of the break real quick?
Sure.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back. I want your thoughts about what's going on with Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade and his divorce and their trips. And it doesn't matter. This is In-Text News Radio, reality radio. Everybody can be a start. We'll be right back.
Attorney Clinton Paris. Accidents are beyond your control, but deciding who will represent you is your decision. If you've been injured, call me at the law office of Clinton Paris for a free consultation. 813-413-7924. Offices Riverview.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661. By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here for you.
We're back live on the 6 radio. Everybody can be a star. I got my main man, Professor, on the phone. Like I said, Professor, I don't want to spend my whole life beating up on Republicans and questioning, why they're chasing their tail. But listen, so on the Democratic side, this thing with Fani Willis in Atlanta, as you know, she's the state attorney there, prosecuting Donald Trump for election interference. And she appointed a mentor of hers, my understanding, former judge by the name of Nathan Wade. As it turns out, Nathan Wade's heavily involved in a divorce, and now it's come out he has credit card receipts and dates from various locations where Fani Willis was at the same time that those things came out, and now it's being alleged that the two of them had or have a romantic relationship. Her business is business. But my first thing is, if it is true, why? Why would you appoint anyone that would give the grounds for anyone to make an issue about a profession? The second one is this going to be something that impacts either the election or the prosecution? What did you think when you heard this story and where this might go?
Well, I was really shocked that it was something that's low-hanging fruit, and I don't know why it came out now. I mean, they've been at this long enough to know. It seems like when she first appointed him, if this were something, of credibility, why did it take so long to find out?
Now, you know what happened. His wife, his wife's like, oh, hell no. After you've been running around with her, now she gonna hire you. She got on the phone and called somebody. That's what happened. His ex-wife put it out there, I
knew. I heard she did that, but I thought it was because once she found out how much money he was making, and then he had already lied on the divorce papers or whatever she was entitled to get. I think that's what broke it.
No. This ain't about. Now, of course, the storyline is the reason they were getting divorced is she was messing around with his best friend. That's why they were getting divorced. Let's just, we're going to put the T out there. I mean, Cat Williams not here, but we get all up into it now. The reason they getting divorced is his ex-wife, or soon-to-be, was messing around with his friend. He, of course, now comes out. She says, well, you got your little thing going on. And now we have these hearings where you have to, but my thoughts are, really does this impact the prosecution? Will it blow over? Because now they're alleging that she benefited by paying him so much money, and then by her going on various locations where he was spending money on credit cards, she is getting kind of a backdoor benefit from hiring him when there were questions about him being hired. And I guess my question I'm trying to think is, from the Republicans' view of this, does it make the prosecution more suspect in and of itself?
Certainly it does. That little scenario you gave about Hunter Biden, and what if it came out? What if it came out that Joe Biden did benefit? All you have to do is do what Matthew McConaughey did in Time to Kill. Just change the name. You lay that same story out, and you say Donald Trump, and watch the Democrats fly off and say he needs to be hung from the highest tree. So the same thing happens here, even with Fannie Willis. Had that been Trump's lawyer,
right,
and this came out, what would the Democrats do? You know they would do. They grab the narrative. They already have the mainstream media on their side, and they would leak everything they could. And so this is why Fannie went and played the race card at the church.
There they go. You know they were going to play the race card. Because it's racial. It's America. Regardless of what Nikki Haley says, you know, there's a lot of dark-skinned people up there prosecuting Trump in Georgia. So, well, Professor, listen, man, I thank you very much for getting up and calling in, and I look forward to getting you back in studio. You have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Take care, Professor. All right. That's Professor calling in. I want to appreciate him getting up and, you know, giving some balance to this discussion. I know there's always these concerns. If you leave me in front of the microphone by myself, I might go too far left. But in my mind, there is no such thing. You can never be too liberal. With that being said, I want to make sure you know phone lines are open, 813-444-9588. Whatever's on your mind, we can talk about it. I just am bothered by this issue with Fannie Willis. I'm just really, really bothered by her giving. First of all, I don't know Nathan Wade to be some legendary prosecutor that would, you know, go above and beyond to prosecute Trump beyond some other good, strong lawyer in that community. There are lawyers all over the place you could have gotten to prosecute that case that would have not brought this issue into the picture. If it is the case, we don't know for certain yet, because there's a hearing, I think, on Monday, and then there's another hearing in the prosecution of Trump's case to try to figure out if there's some impact on the prosecution. That's the issue, you know, because the prosecution is about the facts. That's what the prosecution of the case is about. It's not about the people prosecuting. You know, their motives and things behind that. That's very, very secondary. And as we saw, you know, with Donald Trump's trial in New York, the competency of a lawyer is very, very important. Let me do a bezel. I'm going to do evidence admit a document 101, because in the Donald Trump case in New York, his lawyer was struggling to get a document admitted into evidence. It goes like this: I hand you a document, and I say, Mr. Witness, have you ever seen this document before?
No.
Okay, great. All right, then let me flip it over. All right, is that your signature there?
Maybe.
Okay, great. And have you seen this document where your signature is located before?
I might have.
Okay, great. All right, so now, what about this fingerprint down here that says it's initialed by and signed and confirmed it's yours, where you swore this is my document? Is that correct?
It's possible.
Okay, Your Honor, we're going to have to dispose of this witness. He is completely let me get another document. Thank you. Is that the birth? Yes. Okay. Witness, is this your birth certificate? Take a look at that. Have you seen that before?
I was too young to understand that.
All right. So if he could identify the document, we ask him, what is the document, right? You don't get to read the document, though. You have to identify it. And you say, have you seen the document before? Is that your signature? Is that those are your initials? And if the witness says yes, you ask him, what is it? And then as he says, it's the lease that I signed when I rented the property, or it's the contract I signed to buy my house, whatever it is. Great. You turn around and you say, Your Honor, I'd like to admit this document into evidence as exhibit number, whatever the number is. Well, his lawyer, Donald Trump's lawyer, she couldn't figure that out. She kept stumbling around with the document, and the judge finally said, look, we're going to lunch, y'all, and you go and review how you get a document in, and we'll come back. And she came back with the same struggle. So the competency of a lawyer is very, very important. And the reason I say this is there are tons of lawyers that Fannie Willis could have appointed besides someone who she has a personal relationship, particularly any kind of, romantic relationship. I'm hoping that's not the case. We're going to find out, though, this week. And I don't know if she played the race card, but listen, it's America. You all saw Nikki Haley. She was asked, is the Republican Party a racist party, right? And I do think it's a racist party because you just have to look at some of the history. Bezel. Traditionally, black people were members of the Republican Party. In fact, Lincoln was Republican up until about the late 1920s. We get in that area, and that is when their efforts to try to desegregate federal accommodations, the federal government, and Delano Roosevelt decides, look, he sends his wife out to talk to black people, say, look, you all get Delano in office, he'll desegregate a lot of this stuff. He'll open up federal government. He'll do a lot of things. And that's how Democrats got black people to vote for him. Because up until then, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party had the same position. Keep all black people down. We ain't letting neither one of them will let us in. But the fear was that Delano Roosevelt couldn't get elected without the black vote. He does that, and he switches black people over to the Democratic Party. And the racist in the Democratic Party left to go over to the Republican Party. And that's how you move into the civil rights movement, where more and more the Republican Party holds the hard line against integration, against desegregation, and they've continued to fight that line in more and more sophisticated ways. And every once and again, they run out somebody like Tim Scott to say America's not racist, or Nikki Haley, who says America's not racist, but at the same time she talks about being put out of beauty pageants because she wasn't white or black, and other issues. And of course, she drops her first name, really, and just goes by Nikki, so that people won't be able to identify that, listen, she's really of, Indian descent. I think there's some issue about her parents not even being American citizens at the time that she was born. Be that as it may, race plays just so much a part in all that we do in America. So for that reason, Fannie Willis using race is not a big deal. Think about it. We just saw what happened up in New England. The owner comes out and says, I don't see color. And thankfully the young man that he's hired as the head coach says, hey man, I don't know about you, but I do see color. I see all the things that make somebody who and what they are. And if you don't see it, that leaves the door open for racism. So let's take this last break. Come back on the other side. If you're out there and you're listening, you want to call in, do so. 813-444-9588. Man, and Wade should have told his boo. He said, hey, girl, you ain't got to do this. Give me something else. But the people won't come back. We'll come back, talk about it on the other side. This is In Touch News Radio. We'll be right back.
So believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen of sundown 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, push your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. Legal and medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
You've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is attorney Clinton Paris from the law office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
You're listening to Tampa Bay Tammy.
Your girlfriend.
On In Touch Radio.
In Touch Radio.
Listening to Tampa Bay Tammy.
Your girlfriend.
On In Touch Radio.
Tell a friend to listen in. It's In Touch Radio, reality radio.
All right, we're back live on In Touch Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. Again, my name is Clint Parrish, trying to close out this Saturday morning hour, talking about as many things political as we can. Listen, I know sometimes, talking about politics can get kind of weighty. It can get kind of, it can get kind of emotional for some people. But you heard just think about this. You got the Hunter Biden stuff, the Fannie Willis stuff. You got the drama behind Tim Scott. And I hadn't even really dug into it. There's so many things happening. Marjorie Taylor Greene and some of the foolishness that she's involved in. And I can go on and on. The stuff with the border and how they've, really churned that into a political just quagmire for people. It's necessary that we stay engaged in our political issues. So we try on this show to be open and discuss things of that nature. We're about out of time, and I want to touch on something that, to me, it's just was really just been weighing on me since I heard about it, because I can't imagine. And that is what happened with Antoinette Bonnie Candia Bailey up at Lincoln University. We got a caller calling in. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning. This is Carl calling in. I'm going to chime in on your topic here.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Back in the saddle.
Okay, man. Look, I figured with all that mess with Fannie Willis, you might be trying to keep your head down. But
okay, no, you're not right. Okay, yeah, okay, let's take that.
So first of all, I don't know. Let me ask you, what you're here in Atlanta. You're out of Atlanta. You're the station's Atlanta reporter. What have you discovered through your research up in the Atlanta, Homestead, Buckstone, Mountaintop, whatever zone you're in up there? What have you heard on the ground up in the Atlanta area about what's going on with Fannies? Are the people saying, look, why?
Well, I haven't really been too much informed about it. I just heard briefly about it. But that still doesn't take away that Trump is being prosecuted for what he have done. What she have done or whatever. Okay, if she committed a crime or whatever, let that be another issue. Don't mix those two things together. Your Republicans they're going to throw a smoke screen or dangle something in front of us to distract us from what is really going on here. Trump, tried to steal the election, and he, asked the secretary to find him some votes. So
I agree.
He's been prosecuted for that.
I agree. So, but why? Right. But listen to me though. When you're in these positions, though, one of the things that we are asking you to show is good judgment. We're asking you to show good judgment. The first part was her even thinking this guy should be the person to do this, right? The second one is him accepting it. The third part is, okay, while this is going on, we need to not have anything to do with each other. I mean, that's how, if this is the case. If you're going to play this, the way that we do this is, okay, we don't need to go taking trips together. And hopefully, I think the record will come out and clear all that up. It could very well be professional conferences and things of that nature where they travel to similar locations, which we do at the bar association meetings, things that there could, because what they're saying is this it looks like they had similar travel plans, that the travel plans kind of connected. Also, that there's a romantic relationship in there. I just trust that they were or are more disciplined than that. The second thing is, I want to ask you about this, Carl. You still there? Carl, you there?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right. So Joe Biden seems to be really locked in his basement. Again, he's not, is he out enough for you? Is he in the public eye enough to be president right now? I just don't see enough of him. Or is that a function of the press not really having a story to report?
Well, yes, because he's dealing with a lot of stuff with Netanyahu. He's dealing with Ukraine, and he's trying to get funding. So Ukraine won't fall by the. You know, he's really doing. He don't need to be out in public because your news agency is going to report some of the stuff that he's really doing behind the scenes. So I think I'm really confident that he's where he needs to be, and he's doing what he needs to do. We as Democrats, we have to kind of, have a lot more devotion to our party.
Got it.
It's easy for somebody to throw a smoke bomb in there and throw us off or give us something else to think about. So, but I'm very firm with what he's doing.
Got it.
And I'm gonna make this on your In Touch News show that he's gonna win this presidency again.
You're a little early. Usually you save that for after South Carolina, but I'll take it right now. Speaking of South Carolina, what'd you think of Tim Scott coming out with his endorsement of Donald Trump? Did you see that where he came out and said, his guy's Donald Trump? And what'd you think about that? Is it a factor at all, you think, going into South Carolina after they finish in New Hampshire next week?
Yeah, he's going to do whatever Lindsey Graham tells him.
So you think Lindsey? We've not seen that's interesting. That you think it's Lindsey Graham behind that? Yeah,
Lindsey. Whatever. Tim Scott has always been on Lindsey Graham's coattail. He has always. He had to get Lindsey Graham approval in order to run. He's always been that in Lindsey Graham's shadow. So he's just one of those guys that, he's that Republican token guy.
Outstanding. All right, Carl. Well, appreciate you listening in, as always, calling in. Stay safe out there also, and give the family my love. All right, appreciate you very much. That's Carl the trucker calling in. Hey, there he is. Listen, there he is blowing his horn though. So we know that he is actually trucking along. And
it's a real horn too.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Thank you very much, Carl, for calling in. Of course, providing great insight. And listen, he doesn't miss many Saturdays giving us a call, checking in with us. Also, I want to give a shout out to one of our supporters, Carrot Williams, had a small procedure this week and is recovering and doing well. So wish my man a speedy recovery. For all of you out there, listen, you keep saying it's cold outside. It is not that cold. Wrap up a little bit, get outside and do something exciting. Make it a great day, but most of all, make 2024 an exciting year. See you back next week.
And have some